All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we continue. So for 6.2 is really the heart of your artwork. Here you're going to really explore and delve into the idea that you want to yeah want to work with, right? So imagining and generating is really the heart, if you ask me, of any good art or design, because here you can explore many different things, right? So it really consists of two different things. It consists of brainstorming and it consists of thumbnail sketches, right? Those are the two main things. Well, for brainstorming, what you want to do is you want to really think about what something is, because if you analyze something and break something apart, you get to really understand what something means, right? For example, so basically the way you want to do your brainstorming is you want to write down a word in the center, can be one or can be multiple, doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna go and write down whatever. I'll write down something over here, right? Let's say, for example, I wanted to write down, I wanted to make some art, something that has to do with like, yes, I will do something that have to do with post, that means after, apocalypse. Post-apocalypse or apocalypse? Let me double check that super quickly, right? Here we go. Post-apocalypse. I think I misspelled it, but that's okay, because I make mistakes, obviously. So let's find out. Post-apocalyptic. Apocalyptic. Well, maybe I did not spell it wrong. Let me double check. Apocalypse. Okay, I did spell it wrong. Okay. So apocalypse is basically, apocalypse means end of time. Post means after. So basically what happens at the end of time, but just after that, right? So then we're getting into this post-apocalypse. This is like an idea. Let's say I wanted to make an artwork that have something to do with the post-apocalyptic world, right? So if somebody says, can you create like a post-apocalyptic world for me, then you can say yes, right? Now the first thing you're probably gonna do that pops into your head is you want to draw like some sort of like city building, right? And then you're gonna put like some nature growing on top of it, and then basically that is basically what it's gonna be. If I type in here post-apocalyptic world, post-apocalyptic world, that's what you get to see. You get to see pictures like this, like nature is starting to reclaim sort of the landscape, right? That really is the first thing that pops to mind whenever you say post-apocalyptic world, right? But of course, there's way more that you could do with this, right? So most people will generate the first idea that they have that pops into their brain, post-apocalypse, what is it? It's this. It's like like society has collapsed, and then nature is starting to reclaim everything, right? And that is all good and well, but it's not really delving into anything really deeply, right? So if you want to make art that is a little bit more interesting, then you don't want to do the first thing that pops into your head. What you want to do is you want to write down as many things as you can that have something to do with the world that you're looking at, right? So for me, in this case, I'm going to do something about post-apocalypse. So what do I know about the post-apocalypse? Well, there must have been some sort of like doom, right? Something that stopped the world from working, or what was it? Was it like a virus? Was it like a collapse of society because maybe no more energy? Was it pollution? Because all those things will have different meanings, right? For example, if it was pollution, then probably maybe it was some sort of gas. That's gonna have like ramifications for what the world kind of looks like, right? Maybe it was like a big war and nuclear explosion, right? Nuclear, no, nuclear, whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be spelled correctly, as long as you understand it. Nuclear war, for example. Or what else can it be? Well, maybe the war is still on, maybe there's still a war ongoing. Maybe it's a war between, like, I don't know, corporations. Ooh, maybe there are zombies, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write down as many different things as I can. So maybe the pollution means there's like some gas and people need to wear a mask, right? Wear a mask. Mask. Is there still power? Yeah, maybe, maybe people have changed. Maybe this is in the future, right? So maybe far off in the future, it's an apocalypse, but still people use like solar power. Or maybe they go back to burning stuff, right? So burning. Oh, maybe they're doing like coal. Maybe they're going back to steam engines, That might be fun. Steam engines. Maybe they go back to using steam engines. So there's so many different options. Or what about like maybe this like virus has caused mutations. So what does that look like? Like what type of mutations can we think of? Like are the people mutated? Or maybe there's like a giant flood. So maybe like water has reclaimed the earth. Now, the more I'm writing down, the more I can experiment with, right? So I can basically pick any word and I can do something with it, right? So let's say, for example, I want to do something that has something to do with post-apocalyptic world, right? So maybe I want to say, okay, well, why don't I throw another word in this mix? Why don't I throw in this mix, for fun, transportation? Okay, transportation. Why not? What can I think of? Well, I can think of like a car, for example, or like a bus, or I can think of like a horse and a wagon, and I can think about like something that flies, something flying, right? That's giving me more options. For example, what if I were to grab, for example, a steam engine and I bring that back into car and I can start mixing those things together. So I can do these like sort of like futuristic cars with also steam engines and things. That's gonna be quite interesting. That is something already, when I think about this for the moment, that is quite inspiring to me, right? But what about these mutations? Well, why not I do some really mutated horses, and combine that with like futuristic things. So I can like basically throw anything in this mix, break it apart, and turn it into something new, right? And this really is what you want to do if you really want to come up with some interesting and original ideas, because otherwise you're always going to be stuck with the first thing that pops into your mind, and it's always going to be boring, right? So please, whatever it is that you want to make something about, really try and incorporate or understand or break it down in as many different pieces as possible. You know, the more you break something apart, the more options you're going to give yourself to work with. And that really is the key to creating interesting art, right? So this part is called brainstorming. Now I can keep going on this list for hours if I want and make a giant big diagram of interesting things, and they're gonna help me create things that you don't necessarily think about, right? I know a lot about lots of different things, so I can write down a lot of different words, but I don't see those words in my brains connecting necessarily, right? So there's lots of options and possibilities in this way, right? Okay, so let's say you find something in this giant list of things that you try to delve into, right? I'm also, for me, I would be very interested in seeing some water apocalypse. What would that look like? Would you see like maybe there would be like some cities under, I guess, under the water, maybe? Like maybe you could do some like, you know, maybe like something like the Statue of Liberty coming out of the water, or some like other landmarks, or would you like paint that from like underneath where you see like the water and you see like fish swimming around maybe? What type of fish? Are these like normal fish, or are these like mutated fish? Like, is there coral growing on the things? All these questions you can start to ask yourself, right? So those are lots and lots of ideas that you can already have. Now, once you start to think about these ideas, then of course I could say, well, I want to make something like this, like I want to create like some underwater landscape where the coral has reclaimed like maybe the cities, because like it's done, you know, like then I could do that. I could draw the first thing that comes into mind, but the first thing that you draw is also not going to be the best thing that you're going to do. So once you have done the first stage, where you come up with like some ideas to brainstorm about, then you go to the next step, and that is going to be this. It's going to be thumbnail sketches. So a thumbnail sketch, ladies and gentlemen, it's all in the word, is a sketch that is small, like the nail of your thumb. So what does that mean? Well, that means this. Let's say you wanted to make like a drawing. These are thumbnail sketches, and they're very good ones. I'm just showing you. They work for everything that you want to do. So a thumbnail sketch is small. It's a small sketch, just like the nail on your thumb, right? This is my thumb. Whoops, whoops. This is my thumb nail, right? It's tiny. So a tiny sketch. A tiny sketch that does not have to be nice, it doesn't have to be clean. It can be clean, it can be nice, but it can remain rough. It can have just like a couple of different values that already are going to show you, if you want to make a painting, for example, it's going to show you roughly, if you were to use these values in this method, what it's going to look like, right? Then that helps you explore visually what it is that you want to do, right? And then you can also see, well, actually I think this one is the nicest. Yeah, this one works probably the best for me, right? Or maybe you want to do a painting or a drawing of a tree, right? Which one is nice? This one is, I don't know. This one is so-so. This one. I think this one kind of works, but this one is better, right? So this also allows you to quickly see what things look like and what is worth further exploring. Because some drawings are just going to end up like drawn one time, and then you're just like, it doesn't really work, forget about it, you know? So that really is the power, you know, if you want to create, and these ones are a lot more detailed, right? This is almost like a storyboard, but it's not completely finished. But you do get to get like an idea, you know, there's like some person with a horse traveling. Okay, well, what's a nice scene out of these, right? I don't think I like any of these, to give you my honest opinion, right? None of these really work. None of the compositions are very interesting, right? I think maybe this one is the most mysterious one. The rest is really yuck, right? So how about these? These are also, you know, very simple. It's just a dark, a gray and a more gray layer, but they are very interesting to look at, right? I think all of these ones are worth further exploring, because they're all gonna work, right? Now, maybe you want to make a logo, right? Look, here. Then you just make some thumbnail sketches for your logo, right? This is something with an L and I guess an M. So somebody's trying lots of different tiny sketches to see how something can look. This really is the most important part of your whole project. Really understanding what you're trying to do, coming up with interesting ideas by doing a lot of brainstorming, and by coming up with lots of ideas that are not finished yet for your thumbnail sketches, right? If you want to create like some cool characters for a video game, then do it like this, right? Don't do all the details. This is like a little bit farther ahead, but most often when they make something like this, they basically just do this. Here, I'll show you what they do. They start off with a silhouette, just so that you understand. They just start off with this. Choop. Start off with just a silhouette of something, you know, like this maybe. Whoops. Here. Silhouette. And then they say, okay, well, this is a silhouette, like maybe I want to do a little bit different. Choop. Whoops. And then you can already start to see, just by doing like a little bit of edits, like this, you can see now it look like maybe it's like a robot. Whoop, like this. Maybe this gonna be like a big claw, like this maybe, right? And then maybe here you have like some sort of barrel. And then the only thing really they do is they create different silhouettes of different ideas, and then they just find like a couple of values in there, like slightly lighter, to give you a little bit of an idea of what the shape is doing. And then they just cut like 1, 2, 3, a couple of little tiny lines here and there, and you can already start to see I don't need to really like finish this character. It's just a quick idea. And then when the art director looks at these sketches, they say, well, you know what, this is pretty fun. Okay, well, then they can just say this to you. They say, okay, well, out of this like interesting stuff that you give me, nah, it's too much like a humanoid. This is getting interesting. This is getting interesting. Can you develop these? These kind of give me good insect vibes, because they have the legs bent slightly different than humanoids have. And I think that is something that is interesting and worth further exploring. So I like the arms on this one, but maybe if you can also do the same idea with the bendy legs, so it look a little bit more insecty or like a little bit more strange, then you can work with that, right? So that is the power of thumbnail sketches. Thumbnail sketches don't have to be perfect. They need to be small, they need to be quick, right? Look. These two, they're super rough. It's just some colors and smashies, right? Look, different spaceships, see? Same technique, just simple silhouettes, put a little bit on it, and you can very quickly start to make variations of the same spaceships by just adding some lines and taking some things away, and it becomes interesting. See, it's not difficult at all. It's super handy and it's super fast, and it will allow you to explore things, right? Things that you would never otherwise started with. If I were to ask you to draw a spaceship without using this process, you would just draw one and then put all your effort in it, and then maybe in the end it turned out it didn't look so cool after all, right? So really, Thumbnail sketches, brainstorming is the key to any type of interesting art, and it applies to anything. If you want to make a painting or a drawing or a sketch or a logo, or if you want to do some fashion, like explore, try different things. I want you to spend, like a good, minimum 3 hours on this, like minimum. This really is key, because once you have discovered and explored what is interesting, then you can continue. Then you can say, okay, well, now I know what I'm interested in, and now I can figure out what type of compositions work and all these things, right? And once it works in small like this, then you can always make it big and fully detailed, because you already know it's going to work, right? So really the key to any interesting type of art or any interesting design is always going to be brainstorming and thumbnail sketches. Good. Please make lots of brainstorming, break things apart, make it feel interesting, right? I want to give you one more example, right? If you do not know what you want to make, you want to do some brainstorming, please just play with it a little bit and write down options, right? For example, do it in black this time. So you can also choose opposites from each other, right? For example, you can make a list of things that you like, right? And a list of things that you don't like, for example. See, so you can like something or you can dislike something, right? So we can think of dislike pollution, right? I really like the ocean. I really like surfing. I don't like war. I don't like. I don't like. Oh, I don't like selfies. I really don't. Ugh. I think selfies are crazy, right? So you can write down all kinds of different things. I like pizza. I like tacos. I like sharks. There's lots of things. I don't like selfies. I don't like insects, really. I don't really care. I don't like snakes. I don't like them. So you can write down many different things, and you can start to combine those, right? Surfing and war, or surfing and selfies, or like pollution and ocean, and pizza and pollution. Pizza pollution. What is pizza pollution? I don't know, right? What can I think about? Well, I can think about pizza. Pizza, and I can think about pollution. Pizza is dough. Dough. It have like a pizza box. It usually have like cheese. It have like all kinds of different things. It's like drippy. Pollution is like biohazard. Biohazard. It have like what does it have? Like plastic. Ugh, right? Okay. So those are all things that I can think about. I can think about lots more, but let's go and let's do some like thumbnail sketches. Okay, so I'm thinking about pizza, I'm thinking about drippy stuff, I'm thinking about like pollution. Okay, well, how am I going to show that it's polluted? Well, what I'm going to put on top of it? Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe like some plastic pollution, maybe some forks and like some lighters, like just some plastic junk that's always like floating around in the ocean, because that's what I think about. Well, what about I make this like a little bit more floppy down, or maybe I put it on like a plate? Does that work? Maybe, I don't know, right? So I just sketched this. Is it great? No, it's not great. Is it boring? Yes. Have I tried it? Yes. Do I like it? No. Okay, I move on. I did not spend like 10 hours trying to make this drawing work and put in all the colors so that it will work. I explored this idea. I decide I don't like it. I start doing something else, right? So that really is key. You can try things, you spend short time on it, you decide it's working or it's not working. Not working? Not worth exploring. Move on to the next part. Simple, right? Okay. This is really the funnest part. The rest, once you have your idea and you have your main thumbnail sketch, the rest is all automatic. It will just follow the next step, simple, simple. But really here is where lies the key to your art, right? Awesome. Please take this seriously. This is really it, you know, like this really the key to interesting art. Good. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.